tip of the week in order to replace a starter on a 2007 328 XI. Remove the intake manifold. There's the intake manifold. And the starter is nicely exposed, along with any signs of rodent debris. And be sure to bench test the new starter before you put it in, and make sure that it works. The crank sensor is located down here. Now's a good time to change it. Knock sensors, not so much. Up to you what you want to upsell. By upsell, I mean it's preventative. In the long run, you would save them money by saving them labor of having to take the intake off again. People think that we're trying to just upsell, get more money. No, we're trying to save you money in the long run. And install new starter bolts. These are lightweight aluminum, they're stretch bolts. Always replace. What year Eurovan? I don't know. 93, 95 Eurovan. Complained his fuel smell. Something's definitely leaking here. So gonna dry it all off and then start it up, see what happens. Oops, sorry. That was a quick find. Notice this hose here, this one. That's the leak. Das leak. We're gonna check everything else too, obviously. Yeah, it's coming out of the hose. Okay, it's all repaired again. Or not again, it is all repaired. Not factory what am I trying to say? It's too hot here. It's not a factory repair in terms of parts. You'll see what I mean. So this is the line out. As you can see here, there's an arrow. So this is the feed for the engine. This is the return from the engine. This goes down to an auxiliary heater. So what I did, I disconnected the hose, or I cut the hose over here, and that's this side here. And then I put a straight pipe here, and then I ran a hose. It sits nicely in this channel, and it wraps all the way around, doesn't kink anywhere, and then it comes up in here. If I tried to make a smaller loop and then go here, it would most likely kink. So just taking a long hose, going all the way around, and it sits nice and comfortably in this channel here. No need to worry about anything rubbing. So it was leaking here. I also checked the collar nut. This guy here was loose. I used my special tool. You can get it online. It's adjustable to various size collars, and it just grabs the ends here with the little fingers. And all I did was tighten it down until I couldn't tighten it anymore. I did not take the collar nut off to check the seal. I probably should have. This was the main concern at this point. And like I said, there's no more leak here and no leaks anywhere else. Yes, I know these hose clamps are not the greatest to use in this application because it can dig into the hose. But it's nice and tight. Not leaking anymore. No more gas smell. Thanks for watching. There's a little tip here for when you're bleeding the system and your coolant reservoir doesn't fill up with coolant. It overflows, but you never actually see any coolant in here. Check the inner dome here. Or what I did is I drilled a hole into the inner dome here, and that allowed the air that's inside the secondary dome to get out, and then fluid went in and it filled it up. And you can see the level is nicely just above the maximum. So if you're having problems with coolant not going down, it's not so much an issue with the return hose being plugged. It could be the bottle. In this case, we're still going to recommend a coolant bottle, but drilling a small hole here that lets the air out solve his issue. She's back, all nicely overhauled. New ratchet assembly at the front, and whatever else is or was required inside. This is a very emotional moment for me. I abused her so much over the years, always ran her dry. This will no longer happen. I will keep you wet. I will keep you lubricated nicely so that you will function for a lot longer than you did. The oil pan was covered in oil, so all I did was clean it off. But you can see oil is starting to run down here again already. It's hard to see, but there's a gouge right here, right along here. I guess something impacted. It's a hairline crack. Let me get a rag. So I'm not sure if it's going to show up or not. Hopefully it stays in focus. Somebody already siliconed the pan, so I guess they thought maybe the silicone was leaking. You can sort of see there's a gouge right here, and that's where it's leaking from. Needs an oil pan. Tire is bulging here. What's the pressure?
90
psi. If it's good enough for a mountain bike, it's got to be good enough for a van.
They came from Arizona right now.
From Arizona, wow. A little bit too much. So you can see here, those are my markings. Hard to see. There's my initials, September 15. So I did the brakes 3 years ago. You can see lots of brake material still left. Nice and even wear. But you can see the lubricating compound just disappears. I guess water splashing on, or who knows what, whatever. And that's why brake servicing is usually recommended. The brakes might last 5 to 8 years depending on driving habits. But servicing brakes every 2-3 years, taking them apart, re-lubing everything, greasing up the sliders, etc., is a good idea. So my co-worker's doing a wheel bearing on a Audi. I don't know what year. It doesn't really matter. But the wheel bearing was so noisy that when you lifted up the wheel or the vehicle and then moved the wheel, there was a lot of movement on the wheel. So then he obviously pressed the bearing out. It pretty much just fell apart. So there's the cage, but these are the bearings that came out. Look at this bearing here. It's separated into 2 halves. We've never seen that before, and this one here has got a flat spot. The wheel was so noisy, and the customer asked if it was okay to drive like that. Crazy. And it obviously was noisy like that for quite a while before he decided to have us look at it. Let me see the pitting in here. Crazy people. If you hear a weird noise, get it checked out. The sooner the better. Checking current draw on a EOS battery current draw. I do have a current clamp and I do use it the odd time. But for battery draws, I usually like to place the meter right in series. Here you've got a 5 minute window here. And you can see here the flat line. So for quite a long time, over 5 minutes, it was drawing 250 milliamps. Then there was a little spike, but then it came down. You can see the step ladder. And I think that's obviously other modules shutting down. And right now it's down to, that's not even 10. I should have put the digital scale in as well, but anyways, sometimes it takes a while for a vehicle to shut down all the modules, or for all the modules to fall asleep. So just a reminder, you got to give a car time for it to fall asleep. If you have a high amperage draw, even for the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, give it some more time, and it could very well be that something hasn't fallen asleep yet. I just changed to split screen, and you can see it's only 4 milliamps, 5 milliamp draw right now. should have recorded this from the beginning. Sorry I didn't. Shifter rod bushing on a Eurovan. This guy sits up in here, and all it is, so it sits up in there like this, and there's a little retaining clip. You just squeeze these ends. They lock into here from the inside. They lock into here from the inside. So you just push from the outside, and then this clip will pop out on the inside, and then this comes off. Then you can slide that bushing out towards the gas tank, put the new one in, and then just push it back into place. This will click back into place. It's a nice and simple one. Okay, you can see it sit nicely in place. When it's worn, there's a little bit of up and down, excessive up and down play. And you can see now if I just push up on this, very minimal movement. Customers complaining about excessive shifter play. There's a little bit of forward and back. I'm gonna check the front ball, the little ball at the front shifter gate, but everything else is looking good. Hi guys, crazy hot weather we've been having lately. 30 degrees Celsius, 85, 86 Fahrenheit. Look at me, I'm sweating bullets. Anyways, guess who got a speeding ticket while in Germany? My brother-in-law just sent me a PDF file of the official speeding ticket that he got in the mail. Funny enough though, the picture of the driver, you can hardly recognize, or nothing is, the driver isn't even recognizable, so I'm not sure how it could even hold up in court or anything. Granted, it's only a 20 euro ticket, and I was doing 91 kilometers an hour in an 80 zone. Damn those Germans for being so strict. Anyways, I thought I was keeping up with the speed limit, but or behaving I should say, but I guess not. These slave cylinder mounting bolts, there's a nut and bolt right here. They can be sometimes really difficult to break free. Put a wrench underneath the slave cylinder around the bolt, or around the nut, and then put a long wrench in here. And the cylinder head has a mounting hole here. Put a big punch in there, and that way you can use all your effort turning the ratchet. I got a big ratchet here to break that stuff free. Whoever installed it last time didn't use any anti-seize, so it's all rusted. If you put enough anti-seize on there, it comes apart fairly nicely without having to use any extra leverage.